It's such a privilege and such a pleasure to be with you and to be meeting all the wonderful small business women owners in Australia. So in terms of who I am, my name is Sarah Bauling. As you may have gathered, recently immigrated from South Africa, and I have the privilege of sharing one of my passions with you today, which is creating the perfect elevator pitch. So a couple of objectives that I have set out for us for the next 45 minutes is, I first will want to discuss what an elevator pitch is, the difference between an elevator pitch and the perfect pitch, and then to really delve into the 7 key elements that make the perfect pitch. Now on this, from my side, I invite you to please make as many notes as possible, grab a pen, grab a paper, and as we're going, make the notes that are applicable to you and your business. And the great thing about doing that is at the end of this session, you will leave with material that enables you to actually create and start creating and working on your perfect pitch. We'll also have a Q&A at the end. So if you've got any questions, pop them down. We'll likely pick them up off the chat. And if there is quite a lot of chatting going on, maybe just keep the questions on hand so that we've got them when we actually get to that part of the webinar today. So the first thing we look at is, what is an elevator pitch? Now, everybody knows what an elevator pitch is. In essence, it's a 30-second pitch that you have on hand to introduce yourself and your business to somebody else. And the whole concept of stepping into a lift, filling the awkward silence between floors, and at the next floor, here's the truth. Either you get out and dash, or they get out and run away from you. So although the concept of the elevator pitch is still very applicable today, I personally find the word quite antiquated, because the truth is, who, number one, is going to listen to you as you suddenly launch into a 30-second pitch when they are likely to be engaged in their mobile devices, tucked up into their iPads, or generally just trying to have a break from life. So that is an elevator pitch. When we look at what is a perfect pitch, this is where the fun begins. A perfect pitch is one that connects you to the right person at the right time. So we often have these opportunities to introduce ourselves to people in a far more open environment. For example, it could be in an online networking event like this, where you have the opportunity to introduce yourself. It may be at a networking club type of event that you possibly belong to. It could even be at the side of a soccer field with your kids playing soccer, and another mum turns around and says, "Hey, what do you actually do and who are you?" So there are so many times where we have that opportunity to introduce what we do properly. And by having a perfect pitch on hand, it allows you to actually connect with the right person at the right time. So we're now going to go into the 7 key elements that actually make up the perfect pitch. So if you haven't got a pen and paper, grab one and start writing. You can literally write 1 to 7 down the side of your page, leave some gaps in between, and make the notes that are applicable to you. So the very first key foundational element is the easiest one. This is your name. Now, it depends on the environment that you're in. So for example, if I'm just having a look at some of the names on the screen, I'm going to pick on Catherine here for a moment. So if, for example, Catherine introduces herself as Catherine and people know her as Catherine, it's ideal that she would start off by saying, "Hi, my name is Catherine." If she wants to be called Kathy, it's important that she introduces herself as Kathy. So what's interesting on a name is the way you introduce yourself is the way that people remember you. And for those of you like Catherine, like Nikki, I'm assuming Sam might be in the mix there as well, is when you have a name that can be shortened or lengthened, it's really important you use the name that you want people to actually remember you by. My daughter's name is Jennifer, and she never uses Jen or Jenny. So when she introduces herself, she always introduces it as Jennifer. And of course, the result is her friends, her teachers, our friends, etc., actually use her full name. So number one is your name. You may be wondering, what about my surname? So this again depends on your setting. If you're in a professional environment, you may want to use your full name. On the side of a soccer field or at a dinner party, you may just be comfortable using your first name. So that is the first key foundational element. And sorry, Catherine and Nikki and Sam for picking on you, but you have the ideal names for me to use as the example in that. Okay, the second foundational element is your company name or what you do. So again, there's some interesting dynamics that happen in this space. If, for example, you run a company, let's say you run a company and your name is Sandra, you could say, hey, my name is Sandra and I'm from Sandra's cooking school. It's very, very obvious what Sandra does. She runs a cooking school. If, for example, her company was called, and I pick a random name here, Goodison's Consulting, it might be a case of her saying, hi, I'm Sandra from Goodison's Consulting, and we are a financial management or financial strategic company, whatever they do. So when it comes to your company name, it's a strange thing that happens. Often a person's ego surpasses what they actually do. And they're so caught up in the name of their company that they're not giving that vital information of what do you actually do. So again, if your company name is blatantly obvious, Sandra's Cooking School, that's perfect. If it's got a name that's possibly a corporate type of name, a Goodison's or a Yellow Bark or something that doesn't connect neurons in a person's brain, then of course you need to expand a little bit on that and actually just give a brief, boom, this is what we do. We're a company investment property, we're a bookkeeping firm, we're a conveyancing firm, or I'm a conveyancer, etc. So we've got your name, and number two, we've got your company and what you do. We then move on to the third element. Now, the third element is, you can probably write it down as challenges/pains. And when we talk about the challenges and we talk about the pains, we're talking about the challenges and the pains that your prospects may have. So again, this varies from industry to industry, and it varies on whether you're even in an industry that focuses on something very, very specific. As an example, as a professional speaker and a professional speaker trainer, a lot of the struggles that my potential customers have is that they're afraid of public speaking, or they're afraid of actually presenting, or they feel terribly nervous, or they lack confidence in that space. And if that was what I was pitching, that would generally be what I would outline as a challenge. There are a few things that happen in this space when we talk about challenges. People may think, I don't want to sound negative, I'm a small business, I want to be positive, I want to put all of that out there. But the truth is, if you don't highlight the pain, if you don't highlight the struggle and the challenge, people are not necessarily going to engage with you at that point, because they're going, yeah, I'm good. I don't need a real estate agent. I'm happy. Or I don't need to invest in property. I'm happy. By outlining that challenge, you're automatically creating a relationship, or the start of a relationship, where the lights go on and they say, this is something that I need to listen to, or this is a lady that could potentially assist me. So the way that you outline those challenges can vary. So it could be a case of, are you having trouble with your in fact, it's year end, financial year end for Australia. So as we've come into our financial year end, you may be struggling with getting your books up to date and ready for submission. Now, someone might think, oh gosh, yes, that's me. I need to listen. How are we going to fix this? Or they might think, oh gosh, I didn't even remember it was the end of June because the last 3 months haven't happened. So automatically you're getting people in sync and in touch and in tune with what you do. Another thing to consider is if you might say, gosh, my clients have got so many pains and so many struggles that they deal with. Which one do I go for? My recommendation is, if you do not know what the problem is that that prospect may have, is to choose a challenge, 1 or 2 challenges that are common. So in other words, there's a good chance that the person or the prospect you are speaking to has that problem. If they don't have that exact problem, they may suddenly think about it, or they'll say, you know what, this is not the exact problem I have, but I've got something similar. So when we outline that pain and we outline the challenge and the potential struggles, you're automatically bringing that prospect into your space. So that is number 3. Number 4, this is where we start having some fun, is what is the solution that you offer? In other words, you have a problem getting your financials up to date before the end of the year or your year end. I am able to actually get those books not only up to date, but submitted in time as well. So at this point for number 4, it is the solution. Now, when you're looking at that solution and you're looking at the struggle or the challenge, it's important to bear in mind that they need to match. You want them to be able to say, oh, yes, I've got that potential struggle or that problem, and this woman has got a solution for me. So again, like I said earlier, people often struggle to share the pain because they want to appear positive. But by sharing the pain and then number 4, hitting them with that solution, you automatically have them on board. If they weren't listening before, they are listening now. We then go into number 5, and this is the benefit. We talk about the benefit to the prospect. So you may have, I'm not sure if it's an Australian term, but that whole thing where you say across all of your prospects' foreheads is 4 letters, WIFM. What's in it for me? So when we talk about number 5, this is where you get to highlight the benefits. So it's a case of saying, gosh, we're at financial year end and we haven't submitted. Here's a lady or a woman who is able to actually get these submissions in on time effectively. And what's in it for me? You need to outline this. By allowing our firm or by allowing us to get involved in this process, we will save you time, save you money, save you energy. Whatever you do, whatever the benefit to the prospects are. And it's interesting, I wrote an article on LinkedIn, I think it was this morning's article, and someone actually specifically commented in it and said it's so true. People don't necessarily want to buy stuff for you or from you. People want to buy stuff for their life. And that stuff could be material stuff, it could be products, but again, it could very much be the services that you offer. So we've got number 5, what's in it for them? What is the benefit to the prospect of utilizing you and your business? We then go into number 6, and this is, you can write this down, why you, but you'll write down why me, because this is about you, not about me. So you're going to write why me. What makes you, Carla, different to a company who's doing what you do? Eleanor, what makes you different to the person next door to you who's potentially doing the same thing? This is where you get to speak about your unique selling points, the things that make you different. These are the things that make you, you. And it's often this number 6, that people will suddenly say, I want to deal with that person because she's got the experience, or she's had mass success with her clients, or she completely understands the market or the playground of whatever industry you're in. This is where you get to, I want to say brag. It may not, it's not always the right word, but this is where you get to sell yourself. And it's important to add this in, and it's not about being a braggart, and it's not about saying, hey, I'm the best, I'm the biggest, I'm the greatest, but rather a case of literally being able to say, by using me, the assurances you have are as follows. And the great thing is that all of us, every single person in this group, and certainly in the whole wide world, every person has their something special. And that is the something special that you get to share. Of course, it needs to be relevant to the business, the service, and the product that you are actually promoting or selling, so that people can foresee you as the expert in your space. So in the number 6, the why you, look for the things that make you different, the things that make you stand out. What's interesting is I had a gentleman who was on a course with me a couple of weeks ago, and he was in the bathroom and kitchen renovation space. So a lot of his competitors were tradies and that type of thing. But what Joe had was 38 years of experience. And for him, that was a big differentiating factor between him and his oppositions. So that is the ideal space and place to share the why you. So really identify those things. We then move into number 7, and that is invite them to engage with you. So what I found very interesting, having been in Australia just over 6 months now, is I find that Australians are far more polite than most nations, in the sense that they don't want to, the words I hear is, oh, we don't want to sound like salesy, or we don't want to sound pushy. We don't want to overstep the mark. Now, for South Africans, for us, in our culture, it's actually very easy to do because we see it slightly differently. So allow me to share that with you, because for most of the clients that I've trained, this has been one of the hardest things for them to overcome. But once they get it, and they go, you know what, that's the difference of literally opening that door for meaningful conversations versus the conversation just stopping. So when we invite people to engage with us, I'd like to work this backwards. Someone has asked you, they've literally said, hey, Nikki, or hey, you, tell me about yourself and your business. They have asked you for information. It is absolutely essential that at the end of all of this, you have this in your toolbox to say, if you would like to engage with me further, please reach out to me. Depending again on what your business is, it may be a case of, I'd love to share some more information, and if you're keen, let's book a virtual coffee, or if you live in the same area, let's meet for coffee, or let's set a meeting. But actually invite them to engage with you. So it's not about being salesy and pushy. You're not saying, hey, you want to buy my product? Buy my product now. I can sell it to you right now at this very moment. That is salesy. That is pushy. That's where people go, hey, I'm out, not interested, you're pushing too hard. But by not inviting them to engage with you, you're throwing away those golden opportunities, because people want to know, hey, Kylie, I actually would like to know more about your business, and you've just actually given me, you've opened that door for me to say, yeah, I'd love to engage with you. So what is interesting as well when we look at that is what you are selling and what you're promoting and what your business does may not appeal to the person that you're speaking to. They might go, no, I don't need to sell my property. I don't need to go to cooking school. You've given your 30-second pitch, but it's not for me. But by leaving that door open and saying, hey, if you'd like to chat, let's engage, it makes it very easy for the prospect to think, who else in my circle could be a good contact? Or gosh, you know what? I don't need to fit blinds in my house, but I know someone else who does. And because this lady has actually said, hey, engage with me, it's easy for you to refer someone else, or for them to refer someone else in their circle to actually connect. So inviting them to engage with you is not about pushing and closing and hammering the deal home. It's simply saying, hey, we're open to discuss. and I'd absolutely love to do that. So when we look at those 7 elements, and I'm going to just run through them again, just to give you a chance to fill in the blanks if you have any gaps so far. The first one is your name, so that people know, they need to know who to call. What is your name? Are you using the long version? Are you using the short version? Are you using your surname? Again, that depends on where you're actually presenting or where you're pitching or what the scenario looks like. Number 2 is your company name or what you do. And again, just to be mindful that you never want your ego to override at this point. You want it to be very, very clear on what you actually do. The last thing you want to do is to deliver your whole pitch and the person goes, sorry, what exactly is your business? And you're thinking, no, that was point number 2. I needed that to be said right at the beginning. So make sure that you've got your company name and most importantly, what your company does. Number 3 are the challenges that your prospects may have. And as I said on that, if you're not exactly sure, go for the common ones. What's also an interesting tip is when you meet people, you may invite them to introduce themselves first, because this will also give you a bit of an idea of what their potential challenges could be in their industry. So if, for example, again, I'm just going to use the financial as an example. In the financial, the way that you'd approach a small business may be very different to how you'd approach a medium or large size business. And by getting that information from the individual, when you get to that point in your pitch, you're able to really make it relevant to them. And again, that connects with them. The solution that you offer is, what do you basically do? How do you get them to their end results? The benefit to the prospect, number 5, what's in it for them? Whether it's saving time, money, resources, effort, energy, bring those into the equation. Number 6 is the why you, or the why me in your case, to absolutely be confident in sharing why you're the expert in your space. And number 7, invite them to engage with you. So when we look at those 7 key elements, there might be a couple of things going through your head right now. And one of those things might be, that is a lot of information to put into 30 seconds. Once you've got the stuff and once you've got those elements written down, that is the point where you might look at it and go, I need to take out some of the fluff, as we call it. There's just too much information crammed into this 30 seconds, because you can't just talk faster to try and fit more in. You want it to be effective. And this is where you'll start pulling certain things out. You might start going, there's an easier way to explain this. And a good example is I had a client who is in the sustainability space. And one of her things was, in the sustainability space, or in her space specifically, they look at your resources that you're using, and they look at how you can minimize it so that your company can basically spend less money on everything that they're using, be it electricity, water, etc. Now, when we looked at what she had, I said, okay, what's the next point? The next point was that her business is basically sustainability friendly. And in essence, they're saving the planet and they're leaving the planet in a better space than you found it. And we're leaving that planet for our children. So I said, great. What would be your 3rd most important point? By this stage, ladies, we're up to about a minute with her. So we're not even close to finishing. And she said, well, the great thing is, a lot of companies, particularly in Australia, companies want to work with companies that are seen to be doing the right thing, that are seen to be running sustainable businesses, that are supporting the resources that we have on our planet. So we counted up all the words that she had, and I think we had about 60 words that made up this little package. And we broke it down, and we said, so number 1, by saving time, saving money, and utilizing the resources to the best of the ability, your company becomes lean. Lean, yes, that says a lot. By protecting our planet, leaving it in a better space than what we found it, what color do people think of when they think of sustainability and they think of saving planet Earth? And we came up with the color green. Great. And when we talk about a business, a sustainability business that wants to be seen to be doing the right thing, it relates to your brand and how your brand is visualized, or how people, what vision people have, which brings you to seen. So we really dismantled that pitch and rebuilt it, and we came up with lean, green, and seen. And we landed up taking her 2-minute pitch and just literally taking a minute out of it, just on those 3 words. So when you look at your pitch and when you pull it apart and see how can we really get this looking tight and looking good and really thinking about it, you start getting very creative in the words that you use. And that is how you start moving it into the 30-second space. The last thing you want is to give, we always laugh and say, you don't want to give a thesis. Somebody just wants a 30-second introduction of who you are and what you do. Another question that comes up is, why would I even need to have a pitch? Why do I need to have this thing called a pitch? You do not want to miss out on opportunities. You don't want to be that woman who walks away and goes, I could have, should have, would have if I just had a pitch prepared. The time that you use to create that gives you the opportunity to create opportunities and to set yourself up for success when you have those opportunities to pitch. Before we go into the Q&As, there are 3 tips that we're going to throw into the mix here when you're busy creating and defining and refining your pitch. The first is avoid jargon. Keep it simple. Just because you know your business and you know your industry well does not necessarily mean that other people do as well. So you want to keep it really simple so that you don't have the question at the end of, what do you do? Make it simple enough that anybody gets it. The second thing is you want to spark interest. And the reason you want to spark that interest is so that people ask you questions, because those questions and that interaction is what ultimately leads to the meaningful conversations. And the third thing to remember is it is not about you. Your entire pitch is about them, how you can help them get from A to B, saving time, money, effort, etc. It's about how they move along that journey and how you are the vehicle that ultimately gets them there. So though this is obviously a lot of information that I've shared with you, but we understand what an elevator pitch is, that a perfect pitch connects you to the right people at the right time, and that you've got these beautiful 7 elements that you can build into that pitch to keep it absolutely on track, geared towards your prospects, and of course, really spending time on refining and defining what you do. So before we wrap up, I'd like to go into a Q&A session with you. So you're welcome to pop your questions into the chat below, and you can put them to everybody so that everybody can have a look at that. Okay, so, all right, so I've got one here, and that is from Carla. Is Carla still with us? Let me just quickly have it. Oh,
yeah, I'm still here.
There you go, Carla. Thank you. Okay, so Carla, I'm going to share. I see this has gone to all panelists. I'm not sure if everybody sees this. Are you comfortable with me sharing this with the group?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Wonderful. Thanks, Carla. In fact, Carla, why don't you read your pitch out to us?
Okay, no problem. I've built it on the fly. So
yeah, so Carla was doing this as we were going. I did see it come up in the chat. So Carla, let's go for it. Let's hear what you've put out.
Hi, my name is Carla. I'm from the CWX Advisory Group, and we essentially provide strategic leadership and coaching services to help business owners, their leaders and their teams and businesses achieve their potential. You know how challenging it can feel when you don't have the right plans and information to hand to make key business decisions and drive the vision for your business. Well, what I do is transform and improve teams, businesses and systems to deliver you sustainable, viable business growth and successful project outcomes. I've a proven track record in the industry, taking loss-making or struggling business. Oh God, I've lost myself now.
Struggling businesses to profitable.
Loss-making or struggling businesses to profitable, sustainable and viable businesses, and secured a number of business awards in recognition of my achievements. It's so great to meet you, and I'd love to hear all about you and your business.
Okay, so first of all, Carla, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for having the courage to just pop it onto that chat. So my very first comment to you is, in essence, you have filled all of the 7 elements. And I'm sure that now that you've read it out, you've probably realized it's probably a little bit longer than 30 seconds. So it's okay. And you know, this is part of the process. Is the first time you do it, you really go gung-ho and you go, oh, wait a moment. It's 3 times as long as it needs to be. And that's okay, because that's part of the process of building and actually creating the pitch. Yeah. So what I would suggest on yours, Carla, is, sorry, I'm just reading through it as we go. That's my concentrating face, ladies.
There's a repetition in there at the end, I think, isn't there?
Yeah. Look for repetitions and take them out. Look at how you can, where's there too much info? You want to keep it short, you want to keep it sharp, and you really want to get to the point. My biggest thing was point number 7, invite them to engage with you. Where you said, great to meet you. I'd love to hear about you and your business. You're not inviting them to engage with you. So it's great. It's great to meet you. I'd love to engage with you further. Perhaps we can meet for a coffee or whatever works for you. I use the word engage. It's a word that I've had in my vocabulary for a long time. And I know the word engage isn't for everybody, but you want to look for the words that work for you. It might be, I'd love to meet with you. You might say, oh, who says the word love? Well, if you don't say the word love and you say like, you use like, because this is about you and your pitch. So Carla, from that, you've got the bits there. Here's an example. Sorry, ladies, my brain goes everywhere when I start dismantling stuff. Where you say, I have a proven track record in the industry, taking loss-making or struggling businesses to profitable, sustainable and viable businesses. You could shorten that, for example. So in other words, I have been in the industry for X number of years, and I have personally seen struggling businesses succeed.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And that's obviously just going fairly quickly through it on the chat. But those are some tips which may help you and hopefully help the ladies on the group. I'm just curious to quickly ask, am I the only person seeing this chat, or have others got view of this chat as well?
I can see it, Sarah, but I'm a panelist, so I don't know if.
Ah, okay.
I think you've got to switch it to all panelists and attendees.
I think so. Are you able to do that, Rachelle, or was that going to be different?
Done.
Okay, perfect. All right, so from here on, ladies, you should be able to see that. Okay, Linnell, so I'm going to get Linnell's picture. Where was Linnell? There's Linnell. Okay, so Linnell has said, would you share a couple of pictures? Could you share your pitch with us, Sarah? Thank you so much, Linnell. So in terms of my pitch, it depends on who I'm speaking to, where I'm speaking to them, and what my objective would be with them. So as an example, if I was approaching, let's say, for example, I was approaching Rachelle to come and present at this event, my pitch would be as follows if I had pitched to her face-to-face as opposed to email. So I say, hey, my name is Sarah Bauling. I'm a professional speaker trainer. Have you ever been in a position where you've had to deliver an elevator pitch, looked back afterwards and thought, I could have, should have, and would have if I just knew what to say? The truth is, when you've got an elevator pitch that is perfected, you're able to connect with the right people at the right time. I have various courses available where we take students and delegates through a process. We accelerate the learning of refining and defining your pitch and giving you a piece of gold at the end that you get to present. I would love to engage with you. I'd love to meet with you and see how we can create your perfect pitch. So Linnell, I hope that sort of answered your question. That would be a pitch that I could potentially give. Okay, Linnell, did that answer or did that help you? I'm not sure if Linnell got that. Okay. There's a message there. Very helpful. Thank you so much, Linnell, for your comment. Okay, so Kylie Clarke, there we go. Kylie's question here was, if it's hard to explain to a prospect what you do, is it okay if you relate your product back to another product that people use without recommending a competitor? As an example, Kylie runs her own event technology and event management consultancy. No one knows what event tech is, but if I say, have you ever been to an event and downloaded the app for that event? Most say yes. I can then say, we develop apps just like that for conferences and events. Okay. So Kylie, are you good to jump on? Are you good to jump on here with me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So thanks, Kylie. Thanks for your comment there. So my first comment on this, Kylie, and it relates to everybody. It's a little line that I use when I'm training. It's called never deposition the opposition. So you have been quite clear here that you don't do that, but ladies, make a point of it, because you never want to say, you know, the other guys do this and the other guys do that and the other guys do this, because I don't want to hear about the other guys. I want to hear about Kylie. So you never ever want to deposition the opposition. So Kylie, where you said here, you know, if you ask them, have you ever been to an event and downloaded an app, and they say yes, the potential problem in this space is they go, oh yeah, I'll tell you what, I was at a conference last week and we downloaded the app and you can't believe how much, and suddenly they've stolen your 30 seconds. So be very careful. You can ask a question, what do they call it? A rhetorical question where you know the answer. So in other words, you know, do you struggle to present your elevator pitch? Most people would in their heads be saying yes, but you carry on, because the last thing you want them to do is to launch into either talking about how terrible the opposition was, or worse yet, talking how fantastic the opposition was. So my recommendation for you is to go something along the lines of, sorry, and I'm reading it as I go here to try and pick out what I can. Hey, my name is Kylie, and our company develops apps that are used in conferences and events. You may have attended an event, or it depends who your target market is, because ultimately, Kylie, you wanting event organizers, am I right?
Yeah, correct.
That would be your ideal one.
Event organizer.
So if you are organizing, have you ever organized an event or conference, had an app, and your delegates have been totally confused by all the bits and pieces that have been put into it? What we do is we take out the complication, we make it user-friendly so that your delegates and your exhibitors get the most advantage by using the app. I'm sorry, my English there was absolutely horrendous, but I think you get the message of what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's more that if people aren't in the industry, if you say event technology or an app, they won't understand, but then that's not necessarily because you're not pitching to the right prospect. They're just like generally interested versus being someone who actually may use your product.
So what I find interesting is, having been in the events industry as well, and having done a lot of work in the events industry as a speaker, organizer, etc., is when I first read what you shared with us there, when you spoke about event technology, the first place that my head went to was AV and sound. So I thought, oh, okay, she's an AV and sound. And then I read, I said, oh, an app. So even on that, although it is event technology and it is a fast, furious growing industry, what an exciting place and space for you to be, Kylie. Just awesome, awesome stuff. Bear in mind that not everybody knows what event technology is, but most people who've attended a conference, certainly in the last year, will have had the option of downloading an app. So go straight to that. Even when you're speaking to those event coordinators and your event companies, even when you start with that, we specialize in apps for conferencing and events. And with that event technology, because then at least then they know, okay, she's not just, she doesn't even know what she does. With that event technology, we're able to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you're right. It's saying it's an event app to make it very clear, but then it's part of the broader event tech that we offer in that space.
Absolutely.
But that's primarily, we do event apps, but we also do like virtual events, that sort of thing too. But apps would be our bread and butter, I guess, except for COVID now, and now virtual events has taken off. But I think it's more that, we need to focus on what the product is, but then be explaining as part of a broader kind of strategy for event tech for your conference.
Absolutely. And what's also interesting, sorry, I'm coming back to you, Kylie, picking on you a little bit here, where we are looking at a world that, people are trying to find clarity in the chaos of COVID, because all of our worlds were tipped upside down and inside out. The events and hospitality industry is just horrible at the moment, and so many people are struggling because that's their business. If you were pitching right now, a great place and space to be pitching is, hey, we can put online events together, and we've got the years of experience and we understand the technology behind it to make it work. So in that sense, your pitch may be slightly different, because right now you'd be more likely to selling a virtual event as opposed to an app for an event as well. So you can really get creative with what you've got available. So Kylie, I hope that assisted you.
Yeah, that's been great. Thank you. Thanks for your help.
No, it's a pleasure. So I'm going to go to Catherine. So Catherine's comment is interesting. I'm working on my pitch. I'm a milliner. I'm going to come to you now, Catherine. Tricky, because not everyone knows what a milliner is. I have been asked if I'm a millionaire. Love it. So I say I make glamorous original hats and headpieces to suit your personality, outfit, and occasion. We provide, and I hope I'm saying the word millinery correctly, Catherine, so please either jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm happy with that. We also provide quality millinery education and millinery supplies in our online and physical store. We'd love you to come and visit our store to see our current collections. Okay, Catherine, are you good to jump, to unmute and jump on with me here, or were you struggling with was it yourself? I know that was Eleanor who was struggling with her little ones earlier. Okay, Catherine, are you with me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you for your question. And can I please ask you, am I saying the word milliner correctly?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And millinery?
Millinery, yeah.
Okay. Ladies, can I ask a very strange question here for a moment? This may just be a term that I'm not familiar with, maybe not coming from Australia. Is there anybody else who knows or knew what a milliner was, or was it just me who was a bit confused at that point? And you can even just even all unmute and say yes or no, just so I can quickly get an idea.
I know. Yeah, I knew what a milliner was.
Okay, Rachelle, you knew. Tracy? Joey?
Yes, I knew.
Yes, I knew too.
Okay, Carla, Eleanor?
No, but I'm from the UK.
Okay, did you know what a milliner was with that, Carla?
No.
Okay, and Kylie and Eleanor?
Eleanor knew.
Yeah, I knew.
Okay, and Kylie, you knew?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and Sam, she also knew. Okay, so that is interesting. Thank you very much for that. So that is, what's interesting on that is Carla from the UK, Sarah from South Africa didn't know what it was, Sam from ex-South Africa did, and the rest of the Australians did. Mm-hmm. So it's either that we are totally not within that space, Catherine,
Yeah.
or that it's maybe just a term that's not familiar in our cultures, so to speak.
Maybe the Melbourne Cup has a lot to answer for.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense as well. So thank you for that. And from my side, I'm also always learning. There's always stuff to learn. I love it. So, okay. So Sam says, I knew. I suspect it's quite an old word. Okay, lovely, Sam. That's a really beautiful and accommodating comment. Thank you. So when we look at that, if, for example, you were speaking to a man, he may not know what a milliner is. If you know for sure that the person you're speaking to knows what a milliner is, use the term milliner. If they don't, then you can obviously go into, because I love where you said, we make glamorous, original hats and headpieces to suit your personality, outfit, and occasion. And that takes all the confusion out of it, because you'll get one of two reactions. You'll either get me who goes, oh, wow, that is amazing. Or you're going to get somebody like Eleanor, Kylie, Linnell, who goes, she's a milliner. So by simplifying it, it means that you don't have someone who's trying to work out what a milliner is. So it's a beautiful word. And of course, I'm going to go and look it up and play with it later, because that's what I do with words I don't know. And you're able to actually say what you do. And if they get that you're a milliner, great. And if they don't, you haven't lost them. Mm-hmm. So where you, and it's interesting here, Catherine, sorry, I put you on mute and I haven't given you a chance to even talk. Your question was here is, it's tricky because not everyone knows what a milliner is. And I commend you for acknowledging that. So well done on that. In terms of your potential prospects or your potential clients, Catherine, who would they be?
People who are getting married, people who are going to events, people who are going to the races, people who have hair loss from cancer or alopecia, people who need to wear a beautiful sun hat because they have, problems with the sun. They've either had some sort of cancer cut off their nose or their forehead, and they now realize they should have been wearing a hat all their life.
Okay.
And we make hats across the whole genre, and I teach it as well. And I also have a supply business that I bought a few years ago from a really old, like 95-year-old supply business that had been in business. They came to me. So I'm sort of like this one-stop shop, but I still have to run it as two businesses. I find it really confusing about how to do the elevator pitch for two businesses that are under one roof.
Okay, let's just quickly break down. Give me one business is what and one business is what?
Embellish Atelier is the making, like we make bespoke millinery for people. And then the other is the education. I do online courses and in-store courses, and I go out and teach at schools and things like that. And then I also do, so the other arm of the business is the supplies, so the physical supplies. I import them and export them from all around the world to, I guess, technically other people who are making hats and headpieces.
Okay. So, Catherine, from your side, you could really have some fun and you could work on different pitches, because pitching to potential students or delegates would be a very different pitch to somebody wanting to buy a hat. And someone wanting to buy a headpiece from you would be very different from the lady who's going to the races to the woman who's just had chemotherapy and is just absolutely gutted at losing her tresses. So in that, you can really get creative and create different pitches. But when you pitch, I like what you said where you spoke about the, that you provide education, supplies, and that you create, you can create original headpieces. So you've got all the ingredients there. And my recommendation to you would be to create different pitches for different audiences. A lot of the elements remain the same. The challenge of a woman who suffered from chemo is that she still wants to have her identity. She still wants to, some women are totally happy after chemo just saying, hey, I am what I am. There are others who say I'd prefer to cover it because I don't feel comfortable. So their pain is very different to the woman who's heading off to the races, who wants to win best dressed lady of the races type of thing. So you can really work and get creative on different pitches there. So that's great, and I love the fact that you shared that with us. Someone has asked you for your Instagram account, so you can pop that through to, who was that? It'll be on there. Kylie Clarke was the one who was asking for that. Oh, Linnell, you asked such a crucial question. I presume we can use the same formula for a written introduction to our business. Would there be changes you'd recommend to the pitch if it is in writing? Linnell, my greatest learning in this space was one I didn't discover until I started teaching the perfect pitch and was liaising with small businesses. Specifically was my biggest market when I started. And one of my delegates said, I'm changing my whole about me. I said, what do you mean? And she said, on my brochure, on my collateral, I've written my about me, and it's done. And it takes over everything I've ever had. And it was my, sometimes when you're so close to the picture, you don't see the frame. And that was one of my greatest aha moments when I stepped back and went, of course you would use it for your written collateral. It's got all the ingredients. And as a sales and marketing lover, I love sales and marketing. I kind of went, that's how we've written all of our about us. That's how we've created our own collateral. And for me, that was the moment where I realized absolutely it is mirrored. And there may be differences in that, but certainly a very good formula with which to start. So great point that you made there. Okay. Sam has obviously been Googling. She said, I am right. It is an old word, super old, used in this context from around the 1600s. So thanks, Sam. Isn't this wonderful? We get to learn stuff all the time. Okay, ladies, I know that we're pretty much on time here. So as we wrap up from my side, I would like to share all of my details with you. So I'll just pop them in the chat there. Okay. So on there, I've got my name and who I am, my contact number, my email, my website, and my LinkedIn. And I'd love to invite all of you to please reach out to me and engage with me. I hope that you have taken away some value from today and that you're going to have some excitement and really enjoy creating your perfect pitch. From my side, there are a couple of things that I'd like to share with you. You're absolutely welcome to connect with me in whichever form you want. On a Monday at 12:15 Australia time, Sydney, Australia time, I run a pitch for coffee where I have many of my delegates as well as potential new clients as well as people I've met who jump online for half an hour. We generally look at one element of the pitch and we kind of discuss it as a group. It's very casual. So if you're keen to do that, please reach out to me and I'd love to invite you to join us for that. I do run a 4-hour online course, which is called The Perfect Pitch. It's 1 hour a day for 4 days running, where we go into a lot more depth than we did this evening. And from there, you really do, you really get involved in your pitch. We get a lot of input and feedback from others that are attending the course. And I've got a couple of those coming up as well. So if you're keen, just reach out to me and we can discuss that. And I can give you the pricing as well, just so you've got an idea in your own mind. I normally do it it's normally $200. And then for your group, I'm happy to offer it as $100 for that 4-hour course. I have got a beautiful membership package as well, which is a 6-month membership, and that includes a whole lot of things. Obviously, it includes the Perfect Pitch course. I've got a Facebook group for members only where you can video your pitch. I can give you feedback. You get feedback from other delegates and the opportunity to meet other people because you're obviously introducing yourself via video. So it's a really nice way of connecting with other industry like-minded business people. We do a practice your pitch session within that membership where twice a month you actually come, you present that pitch and we get feedback, and that's in a small group, which is also obviously members only, plus any offers that we have go out to my membership database first before I open it up to the public. So if you are interested in that membership package, also please reach out to me. I do have spaces available and would obviously love to welcome and to have you there. I've dropped all of my details into the chat, and obviously look forward to engaging with you, to meeting you, and to seeing your progress, and just hearing about your wins and the wonderful things that you're doing and have done. Rachelle, I'll hand it back to you. I've got lots of thank yous coming in here, so thank you everybody for that. And Lynelle, I'm glad you liked number 7, the point 7 of engaging. So Rachelle, I hand it back to you. I think I did go probably a little bit almost over time.
Fine. Perfect. It's very well timed. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Rachelle. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving up your time to for the women in small business women Australia community. It's greatly appreciated. You've given a lot of practical and useful tips. Just to, it's fantastic. I'm definitely going to be working on my pitch. That's
great. Great.
I hope everybody found it useful. Just a bit of a reminder for our Facebook group. Remember that there's now over 2,500 women in the group, small business owners. So if you've got any questions, if you need advice or anything, or you just want to test something that you're not sure about, please feel free to put questions in the group. It's not a group we have Monday mentions where you can pitch your business, but we don't approve posts where people are just pitching their business. It's all about learning and sharing and gaining advice and bouncing ideas off each other. That's what the group's about. So hope to see you in the group, and hope to see you in our next Skill Up session, which is next week. I hope everyone has a great evening. And again, Sarah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rachelle. It was an absolute pleasure.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.